Good evening everyone, and thank you for joining us for the CCT AGM, which I believe is the 11th in our wonderful series. Just a quick reminder that between the AGM and the talk by Callum McPherson, there'll be a short break for refreshments. Also, please make sure you're familiar with where the emergency exits are. I have a feeling there's one behind me. If we do need to evacuate, then we need to meet up in the car park, and we'll check against the attendance register. The meeting is being recorded because we have one person who asked if we could give them a recording, so we thought we'll rise to the challenge and do that. But the camera can only record in 30-minute chunks, so that will keep us on schedule. So, we had a very successful year, I'm pleased to say. We completed the last parts of the green with the final 2 benches in place, and the pollinator bed was established. The first of the community hub buildings was completed and opened, with the green team able to make use of the potting shed in March, and the toilets opened on May the 20th. And a lot of people will be very pleased to know that we've sold the container. And if you haven't noticed, it's already left site. We made successful applications to funders for grants to support the operations of the toilets through to the end of March this year. And we're very grateful to the Ward Discretionary Fund, Port of Cromarty Firth, Hope in Begordon, Ferintosh Community Council and North Highland Initiative for their contributions to our operating budget. And I need to say a huge thank you to the board, all of the volunteers and our small project team of Penny, Alison, Richard and Mark for making everything to do with the green and getting that first building up and running possible. So I should have done that by now. You always meant to press a button somewhere. So I failed. I was supposed to say, any apologies for absence? Good. And I think we have 4 proxy forms. Ooh, no, lots more. 12 proxy forms. And the minutes of the previous annual general meeting need to be approved. So, do we have a proposer to approve the minutes of the meeting ending June 2024? Penny and Richard. Thank you. Now I can get on with my bit. So, company development memberships continue to grow year on year. So we're up to 411 in the last financial year, and in January this year we've grown that to 423. So as I said earlier, the potting shed is now open, and you might be able to make it out in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, but it's been fitted out with shelving which was designed by the green team and accommodates all of the tools and materials that they use for looking after the green. So I think we can say that was a very successful design, mostly led by Penny, to be honest. So having the potting shed has dramatically improved the conditions and enjoyment of the green team, because they now have somewhere, good storage of tools, no ferreting around trying to find things in the container, and they've actually got somewhere where they can sit down and enjoy their tea and biscuits at 3 o'clock every Thursday out of the weather. So that's an excellent improvement. On the toilets, we did hold a community viewing for the new building on April the 4th, which was attended by 30 people, including our local councillors, one of whom is with us today. On the green, it was a year of consolidation, with the green team meeting every Thursday to look after the green. Numbers fluctuated between 4 and 12 volunteers, and we estimate they clocked up around 600 man-hours of work, which has helped the green keep in excellent condition for people and wildlife. We did receive a few comments about the condition of the green looking untidy at one point, with some overgrown areas of whin, thistles and docks, and the wildflower meadow wasn't as colourful as some expected. So we met with representatives, the people who'd raised the comments, discussed the issues in more detail so that we made sure we understood them correctly, and discussed suggestions for how we could make changes, and as a result several changes were made and seem to have been well received. The new pollinated bed is well established, has proved easy to manage, and is very attractive. We did have 2 successful events on the green, organised by volunteers. The Christmas party, the Easter egg hunt, and Halloween on the green, although I have to say that Halloween on the green did have to get transferred to Fendon Hall due to weather, but it was still well attended and everyone enjoyed the event. During the year we continued to make progress with the second of the 3 buildings which will make up the community hub, the one we call the Space, which will have offices and treatment rooms. So we have planning consent, we've got a building warrant already in place, and we progressed to tendering for the construction and got 3 bids from the firms that we went to. So this was all funded by Highland Council and Highlands and Islands Enterprise. So by the end of the financial year, June 2025, the project was shovel ready. So the next stage was to go and find capital funding, which we'll come back to later. In terms of the Woods Group, that still lacks a leader, so it's under caretaker ownership by a group member. The History Group has made steady progress, recording the various elements of local history. The Tomorrow's History chapter has proved useful, especially with recording the installation of the broadband cabling and replacement of the water mains. And the group's records, we're very pleased to say the group's records supported the primary school in their project to create a logo for Findon Hall. We cooperated with the Dingwall Museum, who are planning a series of roadshows to visit local communities and display the museum's relevant artefacts, and participated with a display of some of the history group's artefacts, photos and slideshows, which helped celebrate Village Hall Day at Findon Hall. The market's now been running for 9 years, run by CCT, continues to be friendly, welcoming and well supported by the community. It returns a small profit to CCT, which is maybe small, but it's very welcome. And the cafe's mainly being run by CCT, but occasionally we've invited other local groups to run it so that they can generate funds for their own purposes. Fundraising. So remember, this is the year ending June 2025. So in that year, we had the second of our food and drink festivals, which was in August. And again, it was a highly successful event. We did have a second element to it, which was on the Friday before the food festival, which was an evening with Sarah Rankin, who was a previous finalist in MasterChef. And Sarah was interviewed by Adam from Haim and Dawar. I think I might have pronounced that close, followed by an excellent demonstration of, I can't remember what it was, but it was an excellent demonstration of cooking. Can anyone remember what she actually cooked?
Scallops.
Scallops, thank you. You were paying attention. So the Sarah Rankin event raised £949 and the food festival raised £3,600. So very helpful in our contributing to CCT's running costs. We also had the Black Isle calendar in desktop and wall calendar format, sponsored by local businesses, and again that generated £1,050 for our coffers. The last event in that year was at the 2024 December market, where we were lucky to have a beautiful Christmas cake iced by Fiona Newman, I don't think she's here, which was raffled and raised £120. So a very successful year. In terms of Culbokie clean and tidy projects, dog poo wardens continue to do an excellent job in clearing up after certain dog owners, and the flower tubs and area around the village pump are maintained by volunteers on behalf of CCT and continue to make that area attractive. So CCT's maintained a regular presence at the community markets to both try and attract new members. It's an opportunity to keep existing members up to date, and we also have our monthly newsletter which gives regular updates on the things that we are doing. We also received coverage in the local press and in Chatterbox for activities, and we used regular social media posts as well. So the active travel project, so that was in limbo for quite a while, but in May we were told that Highland Council had been granted funds to construct the active travel route through the village. So they've now got all responsibility for the technical aspects of drainage, street lights, regulatory approvals, tendering and managing contractors. So it's in their hands, and we were delighted when all the funding was announced. The sharing shed continues to be well used and has become embedded as a community asset for folk of all ages. And we are very thankful to FairShare, Community Food Initiative North East, for their regular deliveries of surplus food, and that's topped up by non-perishable items purchased from a grant received from North Highland Initiative in December 24. And the Cycle Club continue with their programme of regular guided cycle tours during the year. So just a little reminder, just to show, I think that's 14 grants that we were successful in applying for and had to manage to allow us to construct the toilets and potting shed. And we also had grants to support with the running costs of the toilets, to support the sharing shed, and funding events on Culbokie Green. So we're always busy with grant applications and grant reporting. In terms of the year starting July 25, one thing we are keen on doing is enhancing the strength of the board. So we're always looking for new members to join us, broaden the number of and range of skills that we have, and they could either join as full board members or could be co-opted. So that's an open invite for anyone to join us. Back to the public toilets, we do need to make sure we have funding in place to operate them from April this year through to March next year. Not actually in this financial year, but we've been successful with donations from the wee bus charity and also from Strath Civil's engineering. And we've been successful in our application to the comfort scheme. So they've committed £200 a month starting in April, which is excellent. Still have a few other pounds and shillings to find though. The space, we've reached an advanced stage with some important funding applications. Haven't actually got them yet, but we're, I think, 50-50. Well, okay, we don't know, but we're quietly optimistic that we'll have success.
That's overstating it.
Okay.
We may
or may not, but we're living in hope, or some of us are. Community cafe, that is the third element of the community hub, and once we have the space funded, then we can turn our attentions to the cafe. Culbokie Green, just going through its annual cycle now. We've had the meadow cutting, we've bought new tools, and we've replanted part of the hedge and the pollinator bed area. We've installed electricity from the new toilet building to the shelter, so that allowed us at Christmas to have more easily have hot food and lighting. And we ran two successful events, which was the Summer Fun and Games and Halloween on the Green. Fundraising, so the future from the end of June 25 perspective is to have, or have had, the third Black Isle Food Festival, which was held in September and raised £4,600. So a huge thank you to all the volunteers involved. I do know that after it ended, they all went and hid for about 2 months under a blanket, well, separate blankets, just to avoid any rumours being spread, to recover from all the work that they had to put into it. So thank you everyone for all that hard work. And of course they're now looking at the 2027 calendar. Sharing shed continues to be well used. We are looking at obtaining some form of storage which will be next to the sharing shed to save us using Marilyn and Tom's garage. So we're actively trying to find something, maybe a container, maybe another shed, but that needs to be in place fairly quickly, Marilyn reminds us. And that will make it easier for the volunteers to manage the stock, replenish the shed. We're also, the grants for the food items are decreasing, so we may need to reduce our reliance on food for the sharing shed. But maybe the main purpose will become reduce, reuse, recycle. Community market continues to be very much part of the community and is well supported, so it will continue. Active travel, as everyone now knows, work started. The council appointed Strath Civil Engineering, and they started in August and hopefully will complete around the end of March, although with recent bad weather that might slip, I suspect, into April. And we are planning an event to celebrate the completion of the work. The principal risks continue to be the fact we rely on income from member donations, grants and fundraising activities. So that relies on strong local support, active volunteers and suitable grant aiding bodies. So we are always looking at other ways of raising funding, but it ends up coming back to grants at the moment, to be honest. And the funding climate remains challenging. So if we aren't successful with the main fund that we're currently looking at for the space, we may have to alter our plans. But we do have experience of managing complexity of projects now with what we learned from building the toilets and potting shed. So now I'll shut up and hand over to Gillian.
I'm not going to say very much, so that'll be short and sweet.
Okay.
It's my third AGM, charity AGM to set of accounts today. So if I start waffling about farming and fishing, I'm in the wrong place still.
Okay.
I haven't had my tea yet, so bear with me. Okay, have we got, detailed statement of financial activities. I think the flavour of it has already been given by Paul. Not a terribly exciting year. You'll see at the top bit there, main income is from grants, continuing the project from the year before. So that top bit, 296,000, is our income from grants and donations. Then down below that we have our fundraising events, market income, project, which I think is a bit of the sharing shed income come in there. The rent from Swarco charging, and I don't know why, but miscellaneous is a first aid course that we got grant funded and we ran and we took some money for it, and that's got put into miscellaneous. So with our bank interest, our total income from the year is 310,000, but 293,000 of that was grant income towards our big projects. So I never think charity income and expenditures give a terribly good flavour. It's not profit and loss. The grants have to go on this page, and then the assets in a different place altogether that we use the grant money for. So that's our income, 310, and then our expenditure down below, nothing terribly exciting in there. A bit of costs related to the fundraising we did. Our insurance has gone up because we have more property to insure. Heat and light is a new one because we have buildings now. Sundry subscriptions, accountancy, not very exciting. Some project development costs that didn't get capitalised because they're seen as maintenance rather than capital now. And donations we've made, training we've done. Legal and professional was a one-off fee for checking our VAT position. That was a big one. And then depreciation, which I mess about with a little bit depending on what buildings we're adding and how much we've taken. So now that we're kind of at the end of the building, I'll have a look at that in the next year and see if I think we're over depreciated or under. Take a better look at that to get a position for the going forward. So after all that, we have spent 33,000, leaving us with a net income of 276,000, which sounds amazing, but again, most of that is grant income, which has gone into the building, so it's not there. If you move on to the balance sheet, you'll see what I mean. The top figure, the tangible assets, were 200,000 last year, 500,000 this year. That's mainly the potting shed and toilets. Below that, there's nothing else terribly exciting. Small debtors, because we've got building work going on, we owe people money. The money in the bank's moving all the time with grants coming in, and bills being paid. So other than adding on to our buildings, our balance sheet's very, very straightforward this year. We've increased the value of it, again, because of grant income. So where we had 466,000 last year, we've got 743,000 this year. That's all that's on that page, and I think the rest of the report is the trustees report, which Paul has gone through virtually every section. Yeah, I'm coming to that one. Every section in detail, apart from the financial position, which is really just a summary of what I've already said. Total income 310, but our resources spent there is 33 because it doesn't include the building. The Oscar guidelines, we've stuck to that at 3 months operational costs, so we're well within that. And again, as I've just said, a significant part of the resources are grants received, and there's our reserves per the balance sheet, 743. Again, the restricted reserves is another one that needs a little bit of a look at because that tends to run away over time. As we were doing it, the grants were all restricted. Now they're in place and we have a building. It's something we'll sit as a board and have a look at and see what our restricted funds should be going forward and see if we need to free up any, if it's maybe overdone. So that's a figure that it was right at the time, but it moves. So we'll have a look at that in this year. Happy if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
Thank you, Gillian. So now to the final part of the agenda, which is the list of directors' retirals. So we have, did that creep in? We need to agree on the appointment of external examiners, which is Frame Kennedy. So, is everyone happy that we appoint Frame Kennedy for another year to audit the reports? Yeah. So we have 3 directors retiring: Mark Douglas, Penny Edwards and Gillian.
All 3 are willing to stand again.
Excellent.
And we have another nomination of Birgit von Tiedemann, which I think is here tonight, who's been involved in the community and doing all sorts of things over the last couple of years, and has agreed to be nominated for as a director. So there are currently 4 vacancies. If we can agree that this goes ahead, then that will bring our board up to 9, which is the number that is specified in the articles.
So do we need a vote or?
No, because there are no additional nominations. So
Okay.
we can just accept that that will go through.
So we're happy to accept that Gillian, Penny and Mark are re-elected to the board, and Birgit
Close, but
is also joining us.
That's fine.
So that takes us to any other competent business. Does anyone have any other business that they wish to raise?
Can I just clarify a point just from your report? Because you were saying how dependent on grants we are. And I just thought it was worth saying that one of the reasons which we want to continue to develop the space is that that starts to give us an income. And if we can sort of have that with some rental income as well as community benefit in that space, then we should be able to cover the costs of running the green and the toilets. So that is our trajectory, that's your strategic direction. And then the cafe comes on top of that, which would also hopefully bring in some income.
That's a good point. Thank you, Penny. Okay. In that case, that brings us to the end of the AGM. So, just like to propose a vote of thanks to the CCT board, all the volunteers, that's the green team, the fundraising team, the sharing shedding community market team, the active travel project team, the history group, the cycling club, the dog poo wardens and the volunteers who look after the flower tubs at the village pump. So, looking for a vote of thanks to So that's the end of the AGM. It's now time for tea, coffee and biscuits, and that will be followed by a talk by Callum McPherson, who will explain to us what the heck a Green Freeport is, why we want it and how it's going to benefit us. So thank you everyone, enjoy the tea and biscuit.